Shamballah is the capital of the biggest subterranean world. This palace of illumination within the earth has a central sun which is 600 miles in diameter. The inner city is called Aghaarta, meaning through the hole. The temple within this subterranean world is called the Golden Palace, or in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic, Walala, meaning place of illumination, or with the golden aura, which is located in the capital, called Shamballah, meaning scented by Allah. Shamballah is a combination of the words Shama, meaning scent, and Allah, which gives you the most beautiful sense of Allah. One of the most outstanding characteristics of Shamballah is that those beings who visit or live in Shamballah bodies carry unique sweet scents. It is a scent of the presence of Allah. Shamballah itself is the holy place where the earthly world links with the higher states of consciousness. The city Shamballah is also known as Ashara. There are also crafts that come from the center of the earth. As a matter of fact, many crafts seen by people on the surface comes from various caverns beneath the planet Earth. Shamballah is a galactical United Nations as opposed to an Earth United Nations. Shamballah has the largest library and medical library on this side of the galaxy. Shamballah has climate control. There are no volcanoes and earthquakes. Environment control implies that there is disease control. There are no years, months and days, being that the sun is in the center of the inner world and the planet is not moving around anything. There's no war and no speciesism, which is short for racism. Your planet is not a solid rock. There are 3 major divisions in Earth. 1. Inner core. 2. Outer core. 3. The crust, which is a very thin layer. It is called the mantle. So just because the Earth's surface is 197,474 million square miles and the weight is sextillion tons, doesn't make it a solid. If your planet was a solid rock, then its weight would be much more. There isn't anything on this planet that is a solid, so why should the Earth be? Beneath your very feet is a region whose radius is 6,294 kilometers. The Earth's radius is 3,693 miles from the pyramids in Egypt today. The existence of the inner world has been denied so much until people assume that it is fiction. However, it is a fact that the inner world does exist and it does have inhabitants. Many people have reached the inner world as far back as the 1950s. Whether it was by accident or intentional, people have given different accounts of how they got there and their experiences while they were there. One of the most popular stories is by a man named Richard Shaver. In the article entitled UFOs, The Shaver Mystery and the Hollow Earth by Gene Steinberg, author Richard Shaver speaks of a journey that he took to the center of the earth and the ancient people that he says he encountered. Shaver claimed that the earth is honeycombed with caverns and that these caverns extend incredible distances into the earth, and that they're still inhabited with descendants of a race of people who left the earth about 12,000 years ago. Shaver claimed that he could hear voices and see visual projections of people who existed beneath the surface of the planet Earth. He was told that when the earth was young, the earth was visited by a race of beings who came from another solar system. He called this race the Elder Gods, who with their advances in science, and knowledge of DNA and RNA manipulation, were able to live to be hundreds of years old. They also discovered the secret of life and death, for the elders know that death is an illness in humans that can be cured or prolonged. These elder gods were the Shuyuk or the Rizkians from the planet Rizk in the 19th galaxy Ilion. Early humans that existed on Earth at that time considered them as gods. These highly intelligent beings built a large computer called Mech, from where they get the word Macintosh. Its original name was iHizabot. With these machines they could scan the surface, pick up scenes from all over the planet or televise them. They could project both thought and 3-dimensional images, kill and destroy at will by simply flicking switches, extract thoughts from another person's mind or implant thoughts into it. They were able to stimulate any emotion, cure various diseases, alter the weather and create natural calamities. They also had mech which could be used to make clothing, food and other articles. They could also kill and cause destruction just by the flip of switches. The disagreeable ones among them also built a large computer. It was called HAL, and their Earth counterparts made an offshoot of the HAL called IBM. Over a period of time, the inner sun started throwing off radioactive particles which polluted the air breathed into the lungs, and accumulated in food and water, causing a shortening of their lifespan by increasing the aging process and causing other effects. The Shuyuk trying to escape, bored underground, hollowing out artificially or modifying already existing natural caverns, with a device similar to a laser beam. They proceeded to build large cities with tunnels connecting them 4 to 20 miles beneath the surface. Many relocated to another planet and took some of their mech or hasaba with them. One group of agreeable elders wanted to make these devices available to surface dwellers. However, the disagreeable group disagreed because the surface dwellers were unskilled and were not able to use the computers correctly. There was an argument between the two groups and it was decided to keep the computers locked away in a cavern in the earth so that surface dwellers couldn't get to them. Because of the population problem, the elder race was not able to take all of their own race. The ones who were left behind began to disintegrate due to the radioactivity of the sun. After centuries had passed, because of the radioactivity, and the unskilled use of these massive computers, a large amount of the brains of the other beings that were in the inner world, produced a form of hereditary insanity. This group of insane cave dwellers, were called Sumanian, Samim, abandoned Deros, or as they are called today, Deros, which is a combination of the words detrimental and robots. These Samim or Deros really exist. They are born by hatching from eggs that are 4 to 6 feet in diameter. They grow to 7 feet and are extremely obese. The Deros who lived in the caves are degenerated so much that they don't have much intelligence. They have 2 stomachs and their digestive system is the same as that of a cow. Deros and cows both chew the cud, meaning when cows eat, they chew their food and it goes through the initial stages of digestion where it reaches a large sac that is before the true stomach. The food is then regurgitated to the mouth for further chewing. This is called chewing the cud. Many people today who are obese are descendants of the Deros. I'm talking about those people who have a serious weight problem. Weighing over 300 pounds and more is not normal for human beings. It is obviously a hereditary glandular problem and is caused by overactive glands. Certain endocrine gland disorders, such as hypothyroidism or tumors of the adrenal gland, pancreas, or pituitary gland, can cause obesity. It is a trait of the Deros. They are from the Deros. The Deros have no fingernails, toenails, nipples, navel or rectum. Their eyes are silver gray and glow in the dark. They have blonde eyebrows and a pinkish gray color skin, having not being exposed to the inner or outer sun. Other than their eyebrows, they have no hair on their bodies because of a disease called trichotillomania, and are responsible for the diseases trichinosis and trichiniasis. They have no teeth. Their mouth appears to be full of a gummy, slimy substance. They are nocturnal and hear extremely well. They're not very peaceful and have a strong dislike for human beings. They are very human in appearance, yet far from it. Their noses are long, trunk-like, which is very similar to that of an elephant. They contend that the planet Earth was theirs originally and will be theirs again one day. There is another group called Suninans or Teros. Deros were for disagreeable people and Teros were for agreeable people. The Teros, which is short for integrative or constructive, are a subsurface race that usually keep the Deros in check. The Teros came from the planet Joman in the star constellation Arcturus, which is in the Boötes constellation. Arcturus, the red giant, the 4th brightest star in the heaven, is where much mixing took place. The Suninans have 48 chromosomes instead of the normal Earth people's 46. The Teros chromosome structure is so different from Earthlings that when mixed with certain humans, caused a defect of 47 chromosomes, which is today called Down syndrome. Down syndrome can be found in all races of the planet Earth. For every 800 children born on Earth has this trait. Because of the atmosphere of Joman, their children are usually born with breathing defects as well as congenital heart disease, and they also have poor digestive systems. Their immune system is unable to function properly and they are more apt to get leukemia. The Teros that have an abundance of pigmentation in their skin are descendants of the Shuyuk. And those who are of lacking in pigmentation are descendants of the Hala beans, Flugelrods or Hulub. The Teros bored further into the earth and were able to keep their sanity. Because of crossbreeding, the Teros took on different forms and others look so human they can come to the surface and not be noticed. The Sumanians are constantly in conflict with a group of beings called the Duawanis who hold the same belief, that they too will take over the planet one day. The Duawanis, who originally came from the Canis Major constellation, look like porcupines, meaning their hair sticks straight up. They suffer from a disorder called hirsutism, the covering of the body with thick hair. They master surface information and study intensely such writings by Shakespeare and other fine arts. They aspire to be like the elite of the human race, yet have no interest in coexisting with human beings on the surface who they see as killers without a purpose. They are like references on Earth, meaning they know everything that is happening on the surface of the Earth. From the Duanis come leprechauns who are known gnomes or dwarfs. Because of their mixing with surface people, they produce the disorder called dwarfism. In the 1940s, Shaver wrote that some time later the Teros, good people, made contact with him and took him to visit their cavern world. Shaver told his colleague, Palmer, that there were huge levels of ancient buildings, and places and streets and houses going in all directions. The following is an account of Shaver's entrance into the cavern. One night they came for me, 2 of them, and we went down to the beach, got in a boat and into a sort of smuggler's cave, and went through maybe several miles of darkness, with very, very faint light to go by. They knew where they were going, but I couldn't see much. And there we were, inside the earth, almost on the same level as sea level. I was there maybe 4 or 5 days or weeks, I didn't keep track, just trying to get oriented and learning how to be of some use. In a totally different environment, it's very confusing, where they don't even use words, they use telepathy. Just what would have come of all that, I don't know, but they were attacked. They were attacked by Daros and all the people I knew were killed, and why they didn't kill me, I don't know. When there wasn't anybody there anymore but dead people and I didn't know which way to turn or where to go, I got in a boat and went back the way I'd come, and came out alone, went back to my shack. They wanted to know where I'd been, and I told them I'd been drunk, and that's the way that was. Over immensely long periods of time, they supported a lot more people than we can now, which points to a different sort of agriculture and a different way of raising food than we have. I suspect they are masters of what we now call ecology and that their whole plan of life was different. But the luxury of their clothes and the variety of size and kind of people, there were several different species of men, all point to immensely long period, of very numerous populations on Earth, and a very high rate of science and science growth, and the space contact. When you think of the millions of years of population, civilizations on other planets contributing to our Earth culture, then you realize how terribly important the rock books are, the products of space culture, which is older, ours is so young. Our modern civilization is just a few hundred years old, really, from the Renaissance until now, and there's no comparison without literature and the rock book literature, and yet we ignore the whole thing. This is just one of the many stories that were told by people who have seen and experienced inner world beings. According to a newsletter distributed by Cosmic Awareness, gave their account about the Shaver mystery. This awareness indicates that these so-called Daros are also the basis for certain folklore such as gnomes and elves, goblins, trolls. This awareness indicates that the folklore relating unto these entities has changed somewhat and that any of the so-called gnomes, trolls, elves, and imps that of these are now projected as being nice little fellas. This awareness suggests that this is a way of reconciling, or healing, or diffusing the fear and hostility and so-called evilness of these entities, so that they may cease to be the garbage can for human hostilities, fears and enemies. This awareness indicates that those so-called Daros, or detrimental robots, those entities live beneath the crust of the Earth. This awareness indicates that there are many types of entities beneath the Earth, that those closer to the center itself are of a highly evolved nature, whereas those who are subsurface entities, these are somewhat demented by effects of living underground. For so many beings who have regressed through misuse of power, through excessive and continued self-indulgence, and through lust, greed, competition, and joy in sadistic expressions. This awareness indicates that occasionally these entities surface, particularly through certain buildings which are often built in a way to allow an opening into the subterranean levels, and occasionally these entities have been known to kidnap others. This awareness indicates these entities are not astral beings, are entities who are as real as you. This awareness indicates that these entities are tools of the alien force, that the alien force expresses through these entities, that they are essentially slaves of the alien force, as also are many of the creatures known as Bigfoot, or of the similar types of hairy monsters. There are caverns in the inner world that are occupied by extraterrestrials and other beings who have made the underworld their home. This does not include Aghaarta. Once, there were just 6 caverns. Nowadays, there are many, many more caverns that are occupied by Earthlings and also hidden sacred societies.